Hi everyone, and welcome back to the final REPL speedrun. Today we will be clearing off the last tasks off the REPL, and that is task A5 to A8. The final tasks of dictionaries, and yeah, so we'll be going a bit slower today because these tasks are some of the harder or hardest tasks in the entire REPL. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to understand how to solve these tasks. Okay, let's start with the first one. The virus attacked the file system of the supercomputer and broke the control of access rights to the files. For each file, there is a known set of operations which may be applied to it. Write, read, and execute. And for those of you who know a bit more about computers, you'll notice that these are actually the operations that computers have permissions for each user. So depending on whether you're the administrator of the computer or if you're just a normal user, the computer assigns different levels of access to each file in this, similar to this. So the first line contains the number n, number of files. The following n lines contain the file names and allowed operations. And the next line contains an integer m, the number of operations to the files. In the last m lines, specify the operations that are requested for files. Yeah. One file can be requested many times. You need to recover the control over the access rights. So for each request, your program should return OK if the requested operation is valid, or access denied if it is invalid. Okay, so this is a multi-loop problem. We're going to have to write a lot of lines of code for this. So the first thing we can start off with is creating a dictionary that takes the key is the name of the file, and the value is a list containing all the allowed operations on the file. So we want to start creating, say our dictionary is called files, and we want to loop through each file in range. So for let's see, for I guess int input, which is this number over here, we want to get the input dot split. So result equals input dot split, which gets this data over here. And as you can see, the first argument is the file name, and every argument after the first argument is the allowed operations on the files. So therefore, we can initialize the file in files. So the file name is result.0, and we'll set it to every operation after the first number. So to do that, we have to slice the array, and if you might remember, we use 1 colon to slice the first element, so that's now gone, and we have every other element. So now if we just print the files dictionary and run this code, for I in range, sorry, I forgot to loop over the range. As you can see, we have the key as the file name and the operations allowed on it as a list. And now we can simply check whether the required operation that they're trying to do is in this list. Right. So now we've got over this first part. Now we need to tackle the second part. So we will loop over every single request over the access rights. So for I in range in input, we want to we want to input the request. So say request is equal to input dot split, and the first part of the request, or what will be stored in the 0th array, in the 0th index, is the operation, so read, write, or execute. And the second part is the file name. So we simply have to get the file name and check whether the file is readable, writable, or executable, whichever one it is. So the thing is, if you notice, to enable the file's reading permission, we use this capital R over here. But when they actually want to request, if we want to read the file, the text says read. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an if statement. So if request 0 equals read, then we want to check if this capital R is a value in the list of in our dictionary with the key of the file name. So files request request 1 if R in files request 1, which if you remember returns this list, and we want to check if the capital R is in it, then we can print OK. And in the similar way, we can check the exact same things for the write and for execute. So we can collapse this into a single if statement to print OK. And we can actually make this multi-line. So how do you make an if statement multi-line? Because we could just say we want to just copy this and then all of that and all of that, but it's going to go off the page and it's going to become unreadable. So we make this multi-line by adding the backslash, which is the escape character. It tells us that the if statement continues on to the next line. So this should work, I believe, in REPL, although it may be the case that it may not work in REPL. So let's see. And then we want to check if the file is executable, if the operation is execute and the file is executable. Right, print OK. Otherwise, we want to print access denied. And let's actually check if this works. So if we copy all of this, right. So unexpected after line continuation character. There's a space. That's weird. Okay. Access denied 4. Oopsies. Should be denied close bracket. Okay. Now, if we copy this code, put it all here. Okay. So this character actually works, and we got the correct output. So what this character does is it just tells Python that this statement continues to the next line. Because normally, Python assumes every statement it will be on one line. So you can't go like print OK and then have the other quotation mark on the next line, because it will only read print OK and not read the next line. So this is how we tell it that our code spans over more than one line. So if we submit this code, as you can see, it works. So that's the first challenge done. Now, next challenge. Given a list of countries and cities of each country, then given the names of cities, for each city, print the country in which it is located. Okay, so that's cool. So first we want to create a dictionary of countries, of cities, and we want to loop through each input and put all of the cities in the assign all of the cities to be in this country. So how we're actually going to do this is we're going to loop over every city after the first, because that's a country, and we're going to assign its value in this city's dictionary to the country. And there are other ways to do this, but I think this will be the easiest to understand. So we can go for I in range int input, which gets this number over here. So it knows to loop through 2 times because they're going to be 2 countries. Now we want to loop through the input. So we can say country is equal to input dot split, and we can now use another for loop to loop over every city that's not the first index, because the first index is the country. So for city in country, and we want to slice off the first number because remember that gives us the country itself. Now we can go to our cities dictionary, and for the key of city, we want the value to be the country, which we can get by using country 0. And so if we now print the cities dictionary, you'll see that, oh no, what happened? Sorry about that, we're back now. So if we print the cities dictionary, by copying this over here, as you can see, if we put in the key as the name of the city, we get back the name of the country it's in. So all we have to do to get this output is loop through this section of the input. So we'll do that for I in range in input. And we want to check if each, we just want to print the country each city is in, which we can get by putting cities input. So this input over here, say it's equal to Cardiff. So if we get the cities, if we put the key of Cardiff into our cities dictionary, let's look through it, we will get the UK as the answer, and we will be printing that. So as you can see, that's the correct output. So if we run this code, as you can see, we get the correct outputs, and so that's that problem solved. Now, for our next problem, we are given a number n, followed by n lines of text. We want to print all the words encountered in the text, one per line, with their number occurrences in the text. The words should be sorted in descending order according to the number of occurrences, and all words within the same frequency should be printed in lexicographical order. Right. So there's a hint here. After we've created a dictionary of the words and their frequencies, we want to sort it according to the frequencies. This can be achieved if we create a list whose elements in our list of 2 elements, the number of occurrences of a word and the word itself, right? So, and we want, I believe, okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to count the number of words and just have them in a dictionary that's not sorted yet. So dictionary equals empty, and our input is first the numbers. So for I in range in input, now we can get the input itself. So for word in input dot split, so this input is getting a new line of input and splitting it, so it's returning a list without all the spaces, and we simply want to loop through each word. So if the word is already in the dictionary, then we can add 1 to its value. So dictionary word plus equals 1. Otherwise, we want to initialize the word in the dictionary, and we want to set its value to 1 because we've only seen it 1 time. So if we print the dictionary right now, this should give us a list of the words that's just unsorted. And so as you can see, it's the correct values for everything, but now we need to sort it into this output format. So how do we do this is the question. We want to have this in lexicographical order, and then we want to sort it by the values, I believe. Okay, so we're going to do that. I think that the best way to do this would be to use a lambda function. So what is a lambda function, you might ask? Okay, so a lambda function is a function, an anonymous function that we define on the spot and it returns a value. Now that sounds very complicated, but you'll see what I mean. So if we have lambda a0, this will return a0 from a. And well, this REPL actually doesn't have any function questions, but in a future video I might cover some function questions from a different problem set. But for now, we need to know that the output of this will be a0, and that is it. So we want to sort the dictionary by first its value and then its key, but in descending order. So we want to have sorted dictionary, and then we want to specify our key. So this key argument takes in a function that gives a number. So lambda word. So for each word in this dictionary, we're going to call this function. And first, we want to first, actually, I wonder. I think it returns a list when we sort it. Let me just check. Print sorted dictionary. So if I put that there, okay, and run the code. Oh, there. Right, so it returns a list because it's only sorting, as you can see, it's only sorting the keys, really. So there are I think we should take the suggestion of this hint where we want to create a list whose elements are lists of two elements, the number of recurrences of a word and the word itself. So to create this list, let's create a word list is equal to an empty list, and then for key in dictionary, which loops over all the keys, we can say word list dot append, which remember adds something to the end of the list, and then we want its value. So dictionary key, comma key. And so if we print this word list now, you'll see that it sorts it with this like format, so 2, high, 1, 1. And so now if we sort this word list, and we take this in, as you can see, it sorts it in ascending order, and this is all fine and good, but the slight catch is we actually need to sort the dictionary in descending order. So we have the words that occur the most at the top of this list, not at the bottom of this list. And that's where our friend the lambda function is going to come in. So we're going to have lambda, and first we want to well, actually, what you guys might be asking is, what is this key? So what this is actually going to do is this is going to loop over everything in the word list, every sublist in the word list, and it's going to submit it as this word variable in the this word variable in this lambda function. So this lambda function is going to run for every word, and what we want to return is the first we want to sort it by the number of times we've seen it, but we have to remember that Python sorts it so the smallest values are at the bottom and the biggest values are at the top. So I think we have to sort it. We have to the first value we want to return is word, and then our number of times you've seen it is word 0, and we make it negative. So the bigger values are actually the lower values, and it sorts it correctly. And then the second thing we want to sort it by is word So this is actually quite a long function. Oops. Positional argument follows keyword argument. Oopsies. What have I done? Sorted word list key is equal to lambda word. I think I have to return it tuple. Let's just try again. And as you can see, it now sorts it correctly. So the last thing we need to do is reverse these lists. Actually, why are we doing it in this format? We should be putting it key and then the value so we can immediately print it afterwards. Except now we want to sort it by negative word 1, since the value is in the second position, is in the first index in the list, and then word 0, because the key is in the 0th index in the list. So if we now write this, we can see it now sorts this array correctly. And if you're still confused, let's run through the code once more. So first we create an empty dictionary, loop through each sentence in the input. And then loop through each word in the input. So we go like what, and then is, and then your, and then name. So if that word, so say what, is in our dictionary, then we want to add 1 to its counter, to its value in the dictionary. Otherwise, we want to set up the word in our dictionary, and we want to set its value to 1. Because say for this first hi, it's going to go here, and we've now seen it 1 time, so we want to set it to 1. Next, we create a word list, which is a list of the words from our dictionary. And for each part of our dictionary, actually, we can speed this code up by saying key dictionary key for key in dictionary, which will make our code a bit faster. So what this does is it's transferring all of our words from the dictionary into a list like so we can sort it. And finally, we're printing the sorted word list, and we're sorting it using this function, where the list is first sorted by the number of times we've seen it in descending order. And if the two values are the same, so if we've seen the 2 words the same amount of times, it will then sort it by its lexicographical order in ascending order, which we can specify by returning the key. So if we submit this code, we can see that it's working. So let's get to the final problem at hand. A student wants to make this is actually quite a long problem, so I'm going to simplify the problem for you. We have our input, and it's an English word, apple, and next we have 3 words, or actually just a certain amount of Latin words that we have to loop over. So that's our input, and our output wants to be each Latin word followed by all of its English synonyms. So say for this malum word, we have to print malum dash apple punishment, because malum is in both the apple and the punishment categories. So this is quite a complex problem, so let's first create a dictionary. And we want to loop over our input. So for I in range in input, now we want to get the input. So English word, sorry, we should just say word. That's a bad idea. We should say result is equal to input dot split. And we need to take a bit of a look at this result. So if first we have the English word, and then we have each Latin word followed by a comma. So we'll have to format those commas out into a list. So, and then we're outputting each Latin word followed by its English word. So how I'm thinking to do this is we're we first want to loop over only these Latin words in the input. So for Latin word in result, and we have to notice that, okay, what's our result going to be? Let's comment this out for a second and just print the result. So if we enter this into our code, we can see our first result is apple, followed by the dash, followed by each Latin word, with only the last one having no comma at the end. So we want to loop over each Latin word in the result. And as we notice, we need to remove the first two elements because the first element is the English word and the second element is a dash. So we're going to slice the result with 2 colon. And now for each word, we want to check if it's in the dictionary. Actually, we should say Latin word dot remove, or yeah, I think it's called dot remove comma. Let's just see if this errors out. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, has no, sorry, replace. It's called replace. Comma, and we want to replace it with nothing. Okay, so we run this code, fine should be executing fine. And now we want to look at the Latin word in the dictionary. So if the Latin word is in the dictionary already, then we want to append this new English word to its existing list in the dictionary. So dictionary Latin word dot append, and then what's it called? Result 0, because that's the English word. Otherwise, we want to set up our word in this dictionary, and we want to actually set it to a list containing the English words, so we can then later append more things to it. So right now, if we print this dictionary, you'll see that, say for malum, oh, it's not removing the comma. Interesting. But we'll fix that later. So malum is equal to apple, and punishment, pomum is equal to apple, popula is equal to apple, and so on. So this is working well. I have a feeling that we have to actually say Latin word equals Latin word dot replace. Actually assign it to the variable, and yep, that fixes it. So now we have all the commas removed. And the last thing we want to do is we want to sort each list alphabetically. So we want to sort the entire dictionary alphabetically, and then we want to sort each sublist in the dictionary alphabetically. And to do that, we're going to loop through the entire dictionary. First, we should actually convert this to a list, honestly. So we can have Latin list equal to an empty list. Actually, no. Yeah, Latin list is equal to an empty list. And so for each key or each Latin word in our dictionary, we want to loop through it. And we want to make something that looks like this in the list. So the first element is going to be the actual word. So let's say this our Latin word list is equal to also an empty list. And we want to add first the actual Latin word, next a dash. As you can see, there's a dash, and then we want to add every other element in this Latin word, in the Latin word. So like this, we want to add this list to this list. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use a method called extend. So we can say Latin word list dot extend, and then we can say dictionary Latin word. So remember the dictionary, this dictionary Latin word gets this list of English synonyms it has, and now it will extend the list by that. And finally, we want to append this Latin list, the Latin word list, to the Latin list. Okay, so now let's take a look at our Latin list. And as you can see, it's sorted. So it goes malum dash apple punishment pomum dash apple. And so the last thing we have to do is actually just sort this bigger list. So if we print sorted Latin list, and we insert this again, as you can see, it sorted the lists according to alphabetical order, and that's it. So if we submit this code, oh, okay, maybe it's not it. So, oh, sorry, we have to put the length of the Latin list first. So we want to print the length of the Latin list. As you can see, it wants us to print that first. And, well, that's it. So that's the end of these REPL speedruns. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope that you are now both a better Python coder and both, you've improved your skill set. And I hope that you continue to learn Python. So I guess the question is, what's next? And what's next for me in this channel is I'm going to be moving all of these REPL speedruns to YouTube and creating a YouTube channel to help people like you who want to learn Python learn more about the subject and improve yourselves. And so I hope to see you there, and I hope that you will like and subscribe to my videos. That's the end of these REPL speedruns, and I hope to see you there.